House of Representatives moves to outlaw gas flaring and impose stricter penalties on offenders. House calls for creation of the Nigerian Lithium Production Agency. And lawmakers give 72-hour ultimatum to restore NSIP programs. Thank you for joining us on You and Your Reps. I am Victor, as welcome. A bill seeking to outlaw gas flaring and impose stricter penalties on offenders has passed its second reading in the House of Representatives. The day's plenary also saw 5 opposition lawmakers cross the aisle to join the governing All Progressives Congress.
To the greatest and biggest party in Africa.
4 lawmakers from Labour Party and 1 from the People's Democratic Party defected to the All Progressives Congress, citing alleged crises in their former political parties in their letters of defection read on the floor by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas.
The decision to resign from LP is as a result of the party's inability to declare who should emerge as the legitimate caretaker committee from the national to state levels.
I know the Speaker is somebody that respects the laws because the Constitution clearly stated that if you are sponsored by a political party to a House of Representatives or Senate, and you decide to move to another party, the House shall declare your seat vacant.
At the end of the day, as the party of the people, by 2027, we will open our arms again to give them their rightful ticket.
Away from the defections, the Anti-Gas Flaring Prohibition and Enforcement Bill 2024, which recommends fines such as $5 per 1,000 standard cubic feet of gas flared, scaled second reading.
It will reduce carbon emissions, thereby contributing to Nigeria's climate change targets.
It is also in line with global principles such as the polluter pay principle, which makes polluters to be accountable to their actions.
Other bills which also passed second reading include
a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery in Mashi Town, Mashi Tutsi Federal Constituency.
To amend the Federal Medical Center Act to establish Federal Medical Center, Mangu.
And the bill for an act to amend the Company Income Tax Act to provide adequate security and guarantee for business and companies in relation to payment of minimum tax upon losses.
It's also part of the the tax bill before us, that any company that makes loss should not be penalized, asking them to pay tax.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board Establishment Bill was passed by the House, awaiting concurrence in the Senate.
And the member representing Boki Ikom Federal Constituency of Cross River State, Victor Abang, is calling for an amendment to the National Park Service Act. Now, Abang believes that granting autonomy to the Okwango National Park will bring significant benefits to the local community.
The Okwango Division is part of the Cross River National Park, and it sits on a large expanse of land. And as we speak, most of the administrative decisions are taken in Calabar. And from Calabar to where this national park is about 5 or 6 hours. So we think that the national park that sits in an area of 920 square kilometers is fit and proper to be an independent national park. In fact, some foreign NGOs who wish to come and do business in the national park are often referred to go to Calabar to take permission before they access the national park. And oftentimes they don't come back because of the difficulty and the terrain of the place. So we feel that creating the national park will make for administrative convenience of running the park, and then will help with policing of the park because there's already pilfering, logging, and so on. But if the headquarters of the park is in Okwango, they will better police it than policing it from Calabar. We have taken first reading. Today we took the second reading, and unanimously the House adopted the bill and sent it for part of this for further legislative action, sent to the Committee on Environment to do more work on it, and we are hopeful that the House will find favor with it and pass it into law. The National Park employs staff from level 1 to 6, and if we do that in our constituency, it means that all the junior staff who work in the park will definitely come from the constituency. So by and large, to create employment opportunities for teeming youths of our constituency who desire to work in the park. Because as it were now, they are, some of them, for lack of doing nothing, they encroach on the park and pilfer some of the park products. But with a situation where they can be taken into employment in the park and meaningfully engage, that will be a thing of the past.
In a dynamic move towards energy innovation, the House of Representatives has called on the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Development to create the Nigerian Lithium Production Agency. Rooted in the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act of 2007, the lawmakers at plenary championed this initiative to enhance the lithium value chain, aiming to boost energy sufficiency and fuel economic growth.
Nigeria's lithium deposits are valued in billions of dollars, but exploration remains poorly funded in the country, despite being a major source of renewable energy. Lawmakers point out that global demand for lithium is projected to rise 13 times by 2040, hence the need to design the requisite regulatory and legal framework that will govern the lithium value chain.
To develop a vertical integrated lithium industry, create a roadmap for developing the infrastructure required by potential lithium mines in Nigeria, a lithium value chain policy that links mining approvals to significant investments in midstream and downstream segments of the value chain.
The House condemns recent bandit attacks on farmers in Isuzu local government area of Enugu State, as well as other parts of the country, leading to loss of lives and property. Lawmakers describe the trend as a threat to national food security.
To call on the federal government to intensify efforts in addressing the root causes of banditry and insecurity in the region, including improved intelligence gathering, community engagement, and enhanced coordination among security agencies.
In other resolutions, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was asked to address the challenges of Nigerians studying abroad under the bilateral education agreement.
Some of these challenges include delays in stipend payments and shortfall in stipend disbursement, reduction in supplementation allowances, accommodation challenges, health and welfare concerns.
The House of Representatives is pushing for immediate action by demanding the federal government unfreeze the National Social Investment Programs Agency's accounts and reinstate its programs within 72 hours. Spearheaded by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu and supported by 20 lawmakers, this move seeks to revive critical support systems for citizens.
Lawmakers at plenary expressed concern that the National Social Investment Programs have been dormant for more than 3 months after their suspension for investigation. They say this is taking a toll on poverty reduction initiatives of the federal government.
Urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to mandate the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy to A, ensure that all frozen accounts of the National Social Investment Program Agency are unfrozen within 72 hours to enable the smooth commencement of all the programs of NSEPA.
The spate of boat mishaps in the country recently was another issue of concern.
Urge the federal government through the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy and the Ministry of Transport to conduct a thorough investigation into the recent boat mishaps in Nigeria, to provide insights and recommendations on improving maritime safety. Urge NIMASA and NIWA to enforce safety regulations.
The House called for a sting operation against kidnapping and other crimes in Plateau State.
Deploy the specialist anti-kidnapping squad to to some locations in Kanam local government area, Panshing and Kanke, to immediately begin targeted operations to gather intelligence on the kidnapping and their networks.
Lawmakers sought investigation into plans by the Central Bank of Nigeria to retire 1,000 of its staff.
Raises critical questions about the criteria for selection, transparency, and adherence to due process in line with public service guidelines and labor laws.
Several bills scaled second reading, such as bills seeking amendment of the Compulsory and Free Universal Basic Education Act, as well as establishment of a commission to regulate the National Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Robotic Studies.
Please, order, please.
There was a rowdy session in the House following passing reference by a lawmaker to the tax reform bills, an issue not listed on the day's order paper.
I wouldn't want you to be mentioning things that are not relevant to the subject matter. So please, on your behalf, I have withdrawn that statement you have made. Please.
11 bills passed first reading, including the Nigerian Television Authority Act Amendment Bill 2024.
Germane. It's a term that's often used in everyday English to mean relevant or closely related. But did you know it holds a special significance in legislative practice? Now, to shed light on this, we turn to Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Francis Waive, who explains its critical role in parliamentary proceedings.
In Legislative Palace, and I think in the general English Palace, when a matter is germane, you mean it's relevant, it's appropriate, it's something that is applicable. So when we're having a debate, the rules provide that whatever you are contributing must be in line, must be relevant to the matter in discussion. So you don't go out of point. So when you are following track, you are following the relevant matter. But then again, when you raise up a motion or a bill that is touching area that is really current, that is affecting the people at that particular time, a matter that is of public interest, something that you are bringing up an idea that could cure a problem that many people are going through, is always referred to as being germane, being relevant, being appropriate. This is real. This is what we should be doing. So that's what the term refers to when you say the point made is germane, it's relevant, it's appropriate, it's applicable, it's true, it's what we should be dealing with. It's something that should be upheld. That's what the term refers to in Legislative Palace.
This week on You and Your Reps, our committee spotlight turns to reformatory institutions. Now, chairman of that committee, Chinedu Ogah, shares a comprehensive year-end update on the committee's achievements, challenges, and priorities for the future.
There is pure negligence in correction service in Nigeria, and that is why we continue having problem in security. For example, now, you arrested an armed robber as you claim to be a suspect of a banditry, a suspect of a kidnapper, a suspect of a murderer, and you keep that suspect in a place where you now restrict his movement. He is not properly fed. You are not giving him a scale to change his psychological so that he cannot dodge that crime again. In that situation, you increase him of the crime. The extent of it is that we are asking both the state government and the federal government, we should look critically on correction service. Establish that we call the reformatory in that correction service, making sure most of those inmates are purely reformed psychologically, reformed mentally, reformed by having a handwork. If each of them opportuned to have a skills and empowered on that skills that keeps such person busy, his mind busy, he will not think of going back to the crime. But a situation by which nothing happened, they will be there to recruit more people, and the insecurity will continue. We'll continue buying armored career. Let's limit the money of those things we'll buy and do certain things we need to do. Between me and you, a plate of food today, one plate is 5,000 something. But for a day, an inmate is 1,125. But it's not implemented. It is 750 that is implemented. How do you think that person will fed? There is no each of the skills that is working. All the farmland, we have Dangotes, we have Otidola, so many of them, they should come over and do private participation in all those settlement farms. Establish integrated farm, establish poultry, establish certain things now that will increase the economy of Nigeria. Is the WAEC fee and the UNECO fee appropriated in the budget? No. How do they source in paying for chalks and other things they use in learning there? It is only private individual donation. Churches, imams that are donate those things. We are talking of let it be a part of federal government and state government agenda. The reformatory have effect on private individual, not on the government. Because if we are really talking our criminal justice system to work, we should all these reformatory have to be implemented. Most of the correction centers are in the center of the town. Why should it be so? An act establishing correction centers made it to know that there must be a buffer zone. It is a place you have to be creative. Did you see any line of the budget where there is a provision for an institution in correction service, a social amount is being provided? No. That is the reformatory we are talking of. Let a provision be made in such areas. If we are really talking to ourselves, there is a lot of things we have to do to control the security of this country. What should I expect is that the executive should be able to create more budget line for correction centers, create budget line for their capital, create budget line for their feedings, create budget line for their personnel. Now, when you check the total number of the staffs that employed in correction service cannot take care of the correction centers. They lack manpower. They lack gadgets. The offices are leaking. If you want somebody to do right thing, you should be able to equip such person. And we have those endowments in this country. Before now, Switzerland have so much inmates. But when they started implementing the reformatory system of reformation in correction centers, in prison, the crime ratio of that country reduced to 0. You see now they have started closing down some of their prison because they're able to. There is what UNODC is doing. Try to give some made in correction centers an instrument that made there. All these people, if we equip them, they can be producing a shoe that all the paramilitary and military are using in this country. If they are really equipped, those farms can have farm implement and other things. That is how the Westerners establish it. Then we do see them going to dig a well, do a mason, carpentry and other things. But those things are not there because there is no equipment. We have more new innovation technology. We should bring those innovation technology in those areas to really help us. That is our greatest problem. I'm asking Mr. President, if such a thing is done, it will really help this country. I'm urging the National Security Advisor to hasten up and make sure there is more budgetary allocation for correction centers. It is necessary. Yes, military is doing well for checkmating insecurity. Police is doing well for checkmating insecurity. Those that were arrested, what did they do to make sure they did not get back to the crime? Zero.
That's the show. Many thanks for your company. I'm Victor, as well. See you next time.